Okay, everyone, get ready because today we're going deep into the world of Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh, yeah.
A world of power and secrets and some really shocking
It's
allegations.
a wild one.
This deep dive is based on the work of investigative journalist Whitney Webb,
Right.
her book One Nation Under Blackmail, and a lot of her articles about Epstein.
Mm,
And we're going to try to unpack the connections between the U.S., Israel, and organized crime,
okay.
and understand how Epstein fits into all of this.
Yeah. It's a story that reads like a spy thriller, but the implications are very, very real.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it is this tactic of blackmail.
Right.
Specifically sexual blackmail.
It's,
There.
it seems so risky.
It does.
But history shows us how effective it can be.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Whitney Webb traces this history all the way back to figures like Meyer Lansky.
Oh, wow.
You know, he wasn't just some mobster.
Right.
He was a mastermind of the National Crime Syndicate.
Yeah.
And get this, he was allegedly using sexual blackmail as far back as 1939.
1939. That's
Ooh.
crazy.
I know he was brilliant in a terrifying way.
Yeah.
He understood that compromising someone with a secret, especially something taboo like sexual misconduct, could give you immense control.
Right.
Politicians, military officers, diplomats,
Uh-huh.
anyone with something to lose could become a puppet.
Wow.
There are even claims that he might have had dirt on J. Edgar Hoover himself, the director of the FBI.
Wait, Hoover, seriously?
Yeah,
That's mind-blowing.
it is.
What could he possibly have had on someone like Hoover?
Well, the specifics are shrouded in mystery,
Right.
but that's how blackmail works, right?
Of course.
The fear of exposure, the potential for ruin,
Yeah.
it's enough to make people do almost anything.
So these weren't just like isolated incidents.
No.
We're talking about a system,
Right.
a network of powerful people using these tactics.
Exactly.
Like those so-called blackmail parties hosted by Louis Rosenstiel,
Oh, yeah.
the liquor tycoon. It's almost unbelievable. These lavish gatherings where influential figures were allegedly lured into compromising situations, all for the sake of gathering leverage.
Imagine the potential for manipulation. You know, the web of complicity and fear
Yeah,
that must have existed within that room.
and the guest list is crazy.
Oh, it's wild.
J. Edgar Hoover, allegedly in drag, was said to be among the attendees.
I know.
Hoover in drag. Okay, that's an image I wasn't prepared for.
Well,
But it makes you wonder, what were these people hoping to gain?
right.
Or maybe what were they afraid of losing?
It's a good question, and it speaks to the power dynamics at play.
Yeah.
You know, these parties weren't just about pleasure, they were about control. And
Mhm.
for someone like Roy Cohn,
Yeah.
a man who thrived on power and manipulation,
Right.
they were the perfect tool.
Roy Cohn, infamous lawyer, mentor to Donald Trump,
Yeah.
and apparently a key figure in Rosenstiel's alleged operation. He was connected to everyone, from the political elite to the criminal underworld.
He was ruthless and ambitious,
Yeah,
and he understood how to weaponize information.
right.
There are even accounts of him hosting his own blackmail parties,
Oh, wow.
including one at the Plaza Hotel
Yeah.
that allegedly involved underage boys, and you guessed it, J. Edgar Hoover.
This is like a twisted version of the game. 6 degrees of separation, except it's all connected by blackmail and scandal.
All right, it's incredible.
And the connections don't stop there.
No, they don't.
We need to talk about a group called the Mega Group,
Yes.
which included some of the wealthiest and most influential people of the time.
Yes.
Like Leslie Wexner Epstein's primary patron, Edgar Bronfman of the Seagram's fortune,
Right.
and the hedge fund manager, Michael Steinhardt.
Mm-hmm.
The Mega Group, I've heard whispers about them, but they seem to operate under a veil of secrecy.
They do.
What's their connection to all of this?
They're a fascinating piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
On the surface, they were just a group of wealthy businessmen, philanthropists, and political donors.
Yeah.
But dig a little deeper and you find ties to organized crime,
Oh.
specifically Lansky's National Crime Syndicate.
Really?
Yeah, and this raises serious questions about their potential involvement in the blackmail operations we've been talking about.
Okay, so we have mobsters, intelligence agencies, and now a secretive group of billionaires.
Yeah.
It feels like we're uncovering like a hidden power structure.
Yeah.
A network operating in the shadows.
That's exactly what Whitney Webb argues in her work.
Wow.
And to understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes,
Yeah.
we need to look at another intriguing piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
The Maxwell family.
Okay.
Specifically, Robert Maxwell and his daughter, Ghislaine.
Ghislaine Maxwell Epstein's right hand an alleged accomplice.
Right.
But her father, Robert Maxwell, was a fascinating character in his own right.
He was.
A media mogul with a shadowy past.
Yeah, he was suspected of being an Israeli intelligence asset.
Wow.
And his alleged role in the Promise software scandal raises some truly unsettling questions.
Okay, so remind me, what was Promise all about again?
It was essentially a database program, but an incredibly powerful one.
Right.
Capable of managing vast amounts of sensitive information.
Right.
Maxwell was accused of helping the Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency,
Right.
install a backdoor into the software.
So they had a secret way to access all this sensitive information.
Yeah.
What kind of information are we talking about here?
Everything from intelligence reports and military secrets to financial records and personal data.
Wow.
You know, having that kind of access would be invaluable for any intelligence agency.
Yeah.
Especially if they wanted to use that information for leverage.
So that's like a whole other level of espionage.
It is.
But what does this have to do with Epstein?
Well, for one, it demonstrates the lengths to which intelligence agencies will go to gain access and control.
Uh-huh.
And it also ties directly back to Epstein through Ehud Barak,
Right.
the former Israeli prime minister.
Yeah.
He was a business partner of Epstein's
Wow.
in a surveillance tech company called Carbine.
Carbine. I think I've read about that.
Yeah.
They sell software to 911 call centers, right?
They do, and it's quite controversial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the software gives them access to a caller's camera location
Wow.
and even some government databases.
Oh, my God.
It's been marketed as a solution to mass shootings,
Right.
but many people are concerned about the potential for misuse.
A company with ties to a former Israeli prime minister and Jeffrey Epstein selling surveillance tech to U.S. emergency services. Okay, this is officially sounding like a conspiracy theory,
I know.
but it's all based on real events.
It is. It certainly raises a lot of questions, and it highlights this complex web of connection that we're dealing with here.
So we've got organized crime figures, intelligence operatives, shadowy billionaires, and a whole lot of unanswered questions. It's a lot to process.
It is.
Okay, deep breath. Let's try and understand how this seemingly ordinary guy became a key player in this world of power, secrets, and manipulation.
All right, let's do it. So welcome back to our deep dive into the Epstein network.
Okay.
We've been tracing the roots of sexual blackmail and its connections to powerful people and intelligence agencies now.
Yeah.
Let's shift our focus to Jeffrey Epstein himself.
Okay, I'm ready to try and unpack this.
Okay.
How did Epstein go from a seemingly average guy
Right.
to becoming this central figure in this shadowy world?
Yeah.
We're talking about someone who rubbed shoulders with presidents, scientists, celebrities.
Right.
The elite of the elite.
Yeah. His rise to the top is a perplexing one, full of inconsistencies and unanswered questions.
Yeah, it's true.
Some argue that it was just his charm, his intelligence, his ability to connect with people.
Yeah.
But that doesn't explain the vast fortune he amassed, the level of access he had, or the influence he wielded.
It's like he appeared out of thin air, fully formed, with a network of powerful connections.
Yeah.
And a lifestyle that most people could only dream of.
And that's where Whitney Webb's research becomes particularly illuminating.
Okay.
She argues that Epstein's success wasn't just about luck or charisma.
Mhm.
It was about information, specifically the kind of compromising information that could be used for blackmail.
Right. We talked about those blackmail parties earlier.
Yeah.
Those lavish gatherings where people were allegedly lured into compromising situations.
Yes.
But how did Epstein take that concept and turn it into a system, a network of his own?
He was a master manipulator,
Right.
and he understood the value of discretion and secrecy.
Right.
He created this world of luxury and exclusivity, a world where powerful people could let down their guard, indulge in their vices,
Yeah.
and ultimately become vulnerable.
So he was playing the long game, cultivating relationships, building trust,
Right.
all the while gathering compromising material on these individuals. It's a chilling thought.
It is. And remember, we're not just talking about random individuals here. We're talking about people who hold positions of power,
Yeah.
who make decisions that affect our lives. The potential for manipulation on that scale is immense.
It's scary to think that someone like Epstein could have had that much influence.
It is.
But how did he get the resources to create this world in the first place?
Right.
His financial dealings have always been shrouded in mystery.
Exactly. And that's a crucial piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Epstein's fortune remains largely unexplained. There are suggestions of shady investments, offshore accounts, potential ties to money laundering operations.
And then there's his relationship with Leslie Wexner,
Yes,
the billionaire behind L Brands.
right.
That relationship has baffled everyone for years.
It has.
Why would a savvy businessman like Wexner give so much control to someone like Epstein?
It's one of the most perplexing aspects of this whole story.
I know.
Wexner essentially handed over the reins of his financial empire to Epstein.
Yeah.
He gave him access to his money, his businesses, his charitable foundation.
I've heard theories that Wexner was somehow compromised, maybe through blackmail.
Right.
But wouldn't someone as powerful as Wexner have resources to fight back?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was Wexner a willing participant? Was he somehow coerced, or was he simply blinded by Epstein's charm and promises of financial success? We may never know for sure.
And don't forget, Wexner was a member of the Mega Group,
Right.
that exclusive club of billionaires with ties to both the U.S. and Israel.
Exactly. The Mega Group, their connection to all of this can't be ignored. We know they had ties to organized crime figures linked to Lansky's national crime syndicate.
Wow.
So we're seeing a potential convergence of interests here. Intelligence agencies, organized crime, and a group of incredibly wealthy and influential individuals.
It paints a picture of a system where power and money are used to protect a network of individuals
Yeah.
operating above the law.
Right.
It's like a modern-day feudal system where the rules don't apply to those at the top.
And let's not forget about the connection to Israeli intelligence.
Right.
We talked about Robert Maxwell Ghislaine, Maxwell's father, and his alleged role in the Promise software scandal.
Right, that was wild.
Yeah.
The Mossad allegedly having a backdoor into sensitive government systems worldwide. It's a level of espionage that's hard to comprehend.
And remember, Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister who was Epstein's business partner in Carbane, that surveillance tech company.
Right.
It's another piece of the puzzle that raises serious questions about the motives and connections of these individuals.
A company with ties to Epstein and a former Israeli prime minister selling surveillance technology to U.S. emergency services.
Yeah.
It sounds like something out of a dystopian novel.
It certainly raises concerns about data privacy, government overreach, and the potential for misuse.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to the core issue of blackmail.
Okay.
What kind of information was Epstein gathering, and how is he using it to maintain his power and influence?
Okay, so we've laid out the groundwork, explored the connections, and I think I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
Good.
But the question that keeps coming back to me is, how did Epstein get away with this for so long?
Right.
How was he able to operate this alleged blackmail operation without being stopped?
That's the million-dollar question, and it leads us to one of the most disturbing possibilities: the potential involvement of intelligence agencies in covering up Epstein's crimes.
Wait, you're saying that intelligence agencies might have been protecting Epstein? But why?
There's a theory that Epstein might have been working as an asset for one or more intelligence agencies, using his blackmail operation to gather information on powerful individuals in this scenario. His crimes were overlooked, even facilitated,
Wow.
in exchange for his services.
So instead of shutting him down, they might have been using him for their own purposes. That's incredibly disturbing.
It's a possibility that investigators are still exploring.
Wow.
And if it's true, it would mean that the victims of Epstein's abuse were not just failed by him,
Right.
but also by the very institutions that are supposed to protect them.
This is heavy stuff. We're talking about a potential conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of power.
It's a lot to unpack, but I think we're ready to delve into the heart of this story, the specifics of Epstein's alleged blackmail operation.
Okay, let's do it. I want to understand how this operation worked, who was involved, and how it was able to operate for so long without being exposed. We've been uncovering this really disturbing network, of power and blackmail and potential intelligence cover-ups.
Yeah,
But I think now we need to confront the most horrific part of this whole story.
right.
The alleged sexual blackmail operation itself.
It's crucial that we don't lose sight of the victims in all of this.
Yeah.
These were young girls, some just teenagers, who were lured into Epstein's world
Right.
with promises of opportunity and then subjected to horrific abuse.
It's heartbreaking, and I think it's really important to understand how this operation worked.
Yeah.
How did Epstein manage to lure these girls into his web?
Well, he was a master manipulator,
Yeah.
using a combination of wealth and charm.
Right.
And this carefully constructed persona,
Right.
he targeted vulnerable young women, often from disadvantaged backgrounds, offering them modeling contracts, educational opportunities, or simply a taste of this luxurious lifestyle that he cultivated.
It's classic grooming behavior.
It is.
Building trust, creating a sense of dependency, all to gain control and exploit.
Exactly. He surrounded himself with people who enabled his behavior, creating an environment where these girls felt isolated and trapped.
Right.
And once he had them in his clutches, the alleged blackmail began.
The hidden cameras, the recordings of these encounters, all designed to trap these girls and potentially use them as leverage against other powerful individuals.
Absolutely.
It's sickening.
It's important to remember that the potential targets of this blackmail operation were vast.
Right.
You know, Epstein's social circle included politicians, business leaders, scientists, even royalty. Imagine the kind of information that he could have gathered and the potential damage he could have inflicted.
This wasn't just about satisfying Epstein's own twisted desires.
No.
This was about power and control on a huge scale.
Yes, and the fact that he was able to operate this alleged operation for so long points to a chilling possibility.
Right.
That he had help, that he was being protected by powerful forces.
Right. We've been discussing the theory that Epstein might have been working as an asset for intelligence agencies,
Yes.
using his blackmail operation to gather information for them.
It's a theory that's been explored by several journalists and investigators, including Whitney Webb.
Right.
And if true, it would represent a catastrophic failure on the part of these agencies.
So we're left with this disturbing scenario.
Yeah.
Young girls are abused and exploited. Powerful individuals are potentially compromised, and intelligence agencies are possibly complicit in covering it all up.
Right.
It's like something out of a nightmare.
It's a story that challenges our assumptions about justice, accountability,
Yeah.
and the systems of power that govern our society.
It really does.
And it highlights the importance of investigative journalism, of holding those in power accountable.
Yes.
And amplifying the voices of those who have been silenced.
This has been a really unsettling deep dive.
It has.
We've uncovered a web of connections, allegations, and unanswered questions that point to this dark underbelly of power and influence.
But amidst this darkness, there's a glimmer of hope. The fact that we're having this conversation, that these issues are being brought to light, is a testament to the courage of the victims who have come forward.
Yeah.
And the journalists who have dedicated themselves to uncovering the truth.
And it's a reminder that we can't be complacent.
Right.
That we need to be vigilant in holding those in power accountable and protecting the vulnerable from exploitation.
Whitney Webb's work and the work of other investigative journalists is crucial
Yes.
in exposing these systems of abuse and demanding justice. It's up to us to continue this conversation, to keep asking questions, and to demand a world where power is used for good, not for exploitation and control.
This deep dive has been a heavy one, but it's an important story that needs to be told. Thank you for joining us as we explored this complex and disturbing world. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep fighting for a better future.